What Yongkai needs most now is to inquire information. It should be easy to find out where Xianxia is. Since she is the adopted daughter of the Red Moon Territory Lord, she must be staying with the Red Moon Territory Lord. Xianxia's heartbreaking shout still echoed in Yongkai's ears when he was leaving the Emperor Garden. Since he came to Monster Emperor Star, he naturally wanted to see if the Enchantress is living well. Within a few days, Yongkai and Ningchang flew out of the deep mountain and old forest, but along the way, although Yongkai encountered many creatures, they were all uncivilized monster beasts, and they couldn't hear anything from them. This makes him very helpless. He can only pin his hopes forward. While galloping aimlessly with Ningchang, Yongkai released his spiritual mind to search around. Leisurely, he seemed to have discovered something, pointing in a direction and said, "There is some movement over there, let's go over and take a look." Okay, Ningchang naturally had no objection. The two fell down and walked side by side in the direction Yongkai pointed out just now. After a while, the figures of a group of about a dozen cultivators were printed in front of their eyes. These cultivators exude a wild aura, which is very different from the energy response in normal human cultivators, and each of them has more or less the physical characteristics of monsters. The dozen or so cultivators in this group are obviously monster race. They are riding a wolf-shaped monster beast, wearing golden armor, looking majestic. They are arranging the mount under them to run wildly, although there are only a few dozen, but it is like a torrent of steel with a great momentum. Spiritual mind swept over them, and Yongkai discovered that the highest cultivation level of these monster race martial artists was only at the second order Saint King, not something to be afraid of. So he took Ningchang to greet him generously. "Excuse me." When he got closer, he rushed to the head of a monster race with a fist, with a gentle smile on his face. Obviously, the other party had spotted him a long time ago, riding the wolf-shaped monster beast and leaping up to him, looking down at him condescendingly, with a natural smell of contempt and scrutiny in his slightly white eyes. The monster beast under his seat panted, spraying an unpleasant breath on Yongkai's face, as if he wanted to stretch his head over. Sniff Yongkai as something delicious. Yongkai smiled and remained unmoved. This is the Monster Emperor Star, the world of the monster race, so the monster race has a natural sense of superiority when facing the creatures of other races. They feel that no race can be compared with a supreme monster race. Any race is powerful. But in front of monster race, they can only bow their heads and claim as servants. Human race? The monster race leader squinted at Yongkai and recognized his identity at a glance. The wolf-shaped monster beast under his seat snorted, seeming to perceive the dislike in the master's heart, and circled around Yongkai and Ningchang. After returning to the previous position, the monster race martial artist coldly snorted, "What are you two human race doing here?" "Haha. I accidentally lost my way." "Excuse me, what is this place?" "This is Red Moon Territory." The monster race martial artist replied proudly, "It is the area under the jurisdiction of the Great Red Moon Territory Lord." "You didn't know where it was and came here?" I know this is the territory of Red Moon Territory." Yongkai chuckled. "What I want to ask is, where is the nearest city? If it is convenient, can you tell me where the Red Moon Territory Lord Palace is?" "Do you want to find out where the Lord's Palace is?" The monster martial artist heard this, his expression became cold, and he looked at Yongkai increasingly unkind. "Why are you asking about this?" "It's nothing. There is a friend in Red Moon Territory Lord Palace. I want to see her." Yongkai replied casually. "Friend?" The monster race martial artist was stunned for a moment, and immediately burst into laughter. The laughter was full of mockery, and even the other monster martial artists also laughed. "Humans, I advise you not to look for death. The Lord Palace, no one should approach without being summoned, even my monster race, not to mention you humans. But don't worry, the Lord has always been kind to human race. Your friend is a servant in the palace, and should be living well." He subconsciously thought that the friend in Yongkai's mouth was just an insignificant little figure in Red Moon Territory Palace. This is quite normal. The humans in the Lord's palace are all beautiful and handsome men who have been selected. They do nothing else, they are just handymen. In the territory of monster race, human race have always had no status. Well, thank my friend for reminding me. I still want to know the location of Senior Chiyu's palace. Xianxia insisted. Human race are as arrogant as you, so I don't like it. The monster race martial artist snorted and said arrogantly, I can tell you, but I can't tell you in vain, you have to give something for it. Yes. Xianxia nodded and threw out a packet of Saint Crystal. The monster race cultivator took it, opened it, and was suddenly ecstatic, exclaiming, high-grade Saint Crystal. With one word, many monster race martial artists showed greedy expressions, looked at the package, and then looked at Xianxia and Ningchang. There are malicious eyes mingled in it. Can you talk now? Xianxia looked at each other with a smile. Well, you human race are interesting, I will tell you. The monster race martial artist groaned, his expression gradually calmed down, and he began to inform Xianxia of the information he needed. After a short while, Xianxia rushed this line of martial artists with a fist and left with Ningchang calmly. My lord, this human being is very rich at first glance, why let them go? A monster race master artist who seemed to be relatively young, approached the leader and asked suspiciously. Do you think I can't see how rich he is? Then why don't you leave them here? Even if Lord Chui didn't let us kill humans in the wilderness, no one would know if we did it here. Idiot. If we really do it, it's probably not the two of them, but us who died. Sir, why not? The monster race youth was a little unbelieving. There is nothing wrong, he is so rich, but when facing so many of our companions did he show the slightest fear? Even the human woman next to him did not panic at all. What does this mean? It shows that they both doesn't put us in the eyes at all. You idiot only sees the light of the Saint Crystals but ignores their strength. It is precisely because this is a wilderness, I dare not act rashly, otherwise. Hearing what he said, the monster race youth couldn't help sweating, looking reluctantly at Xianxia and Ningchang leaving, and sighed, that woman looks delicate and tender, if we can take a bite. Among the cultivators in the monster race, some of them are incarnations of monster beasts, so they still maintain the habit of drinking blood when they are a monster beast. However, in general, there are not many such cultivators. More monster race cultivators are born in human form, but they still retain some traces of monster beast. At first glance, this monster race youth came from the incarnation of a monster, so he was not interested in Ningchang's face hidden under the black gauze, but coveted her white skin and crystal clear flesh and blood. The flesh and blood of humans has always been delicious, especially the flesh and blood of young human women. Don't talk nonsense. The little young master of Thousand Eyes should already be on the road. We need to find out his whereabouts, and then send a message back. The Lord will send someone to meet him. This is our mission. Can't tolerate the slightest difference, the monster race cultivator said in a deep voice, but soon, a layer of haze rose between his eyebrows, and he gritted his teeth secretly. I don't know how many women in the territory will be attacked by this little young master. Listening to them talking about the little young master of the Thousand Eyes Lord, all the monster race martial artists were silent, seeming to be very jealous of that guy. Junior brother, what should we do now? Ningchang followed Xianxia and asked softly. Go to the nearest city first. Xianxia sighed. Although he easily found out the location of Red Moon Territory Lord Palace from the monster race martial artist, it was impossible to find Xianxia there. The martial artist said very clearly that no one should be allowed to approach the Lord's palace without being summoned, otherwise she would kill him without pardon. Even the monster race didn't dare to overstep, let alone Xianxia and Ningchang of human race. Chui, one of the 10 lords on Monster Emperor Star, was in that palace, and even if Xianxia was confident, he would not dare to make trouble in front of her. She is powerful in the Void King realm. Listening to Bailuo, she seems to be a second-order Void King realm. If he rushes to the place, he will be dead. He have to think of a way. It's best to send a message to Xianxia so that she can come out to see him herself. Xianxia was lost in thought. A day later, he and Ningchang arrived in front of a monster race city. Shining Moon City is a little different from the cities Xianxia has seen before. The buildings in this city show the bold and wild style of the monster race. They are not exquisite, but they give people a rather grand look. Naturally, the city is not all of monster race, and there are also human race coming and going. Red Moon Territory Lord did better than other lords on this point, that is, in her territory, no monster race should kill human race innocently. Although human race are low in status, human race have their own advantages. You fancy the advantages that the human race possesses, and give them the space to survive. The other 9 lords are not as far-sighted as her. Especially the Lord of the Wild Lion Territory, who is most addicted to killing. On his 1/3 acre of land, there is no trace of human race existence. The sons under his hands also uphold the concept of the Lord. When they see human race, they will directly kill and eat them. As a result, the human race that originally existed in his territory had already scattered and fled, rushing into the Red Moon Territory, a relatively safe area for humans. Generally speaking, the 2 races of humans and monsters in Shining Moon City live in harmony. Of course, the status of human race is always inferior to others. To be continued.